Elemental reactions are the source of Genshin's most unique mechanics. The way that they work together is both intuitive and adds a great deal of depth to the combat, making it fun for new players and enjoyable for seasoned veterans. So in this video, we're going to revisit all the elemental reactions and all the elements themselves, and talk about where they are in relation to each other to give us insights into the meta overall. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. Fair warning, I did go kind of insane trying to make this video and take it seriously. I realized that this video was basically a terrible idea, but I still think it's entertaining and interesting. So enjoy the watch and don't take the rankings too seriously. It's been a while since we've done kind of just like random tier lists. I think we're going to start because I want to rank all the elements, right? Like I want to rank which elements are best, but I feel like we really need to talk about which reactions are best, because not only are elements so like tied to the reactions themselves, they're also tied to the characters themselves. Like you can't have good reactions without good characters. I mean, you can, but not really. The character strength definitely informs the reaction strength by a very large margin. And then the reaction strength very much informs the elemental strength. So we already did our full character tier list. Go check that out if you want. And it is your very last chance to enter the Genshin character giveaway. I was supposed to reveal the winner on the 8th, but I've been a bit delayed because I got sick and it was my birthday and blah, blah, blah. So I'll be revealing the winner tonight. So you just have, maybe tomorrow, so you just have like one more day to get your entries in. Check out the pinned comment on Tactor below. But okay. Going over reactions first. Aggravate. Aggravate has really fallen off. One of my mods in Discord recently said that Aggravate is an inherently flawed reaction because it's about the number of hits and not about the actual damage of the hit, and I totally agree. Aggravate was enough to carry like basically every Electro character from being bad to being pretty solid and even pretty good for the time, especially in AoE, especially with characters like Kazuha. But nowadays, it's really not scaling well. The multipliers, the raw multipliers of the game have gotten a lot higher. The single target DPS checks have gotten higher. And the stronger hits are just not scaling with Aggravate. The best Electro teams are not Aggravate, and the best Dendro teams are not Aggravate. I feel like B tier is where I want to put it, but C tier is where I feel like it really belongs. I'm going to add, this tier list doesn't even have an F tier, and I feel like that's generous. I feel like we're definitely going to have some F tier reactions in this list. Bloom. So obviously at a baseline, Bloom is F or F minus. And we might revisit these depending on where everything lands. So don't get too bent out of shape just yet. But Bloom is definitely an F tier. With Nilou, it's kind of B tier, but that's with like a limited 5-star that barely anyone has anymore. Like Nilou isn't a particularly recommended pull at this point. So I think it's more fair to judge the general reaction, because Nilou technically makes a new reaction, right? Super Bloom, or, you know, Bountiful Bloom or whatever. So we'll put Bloom, I think, over an F. It's just really bad. Burgeon. I think Burgeon is all right. I think Burgeon can carry a team a lot better than Aggravate can, because at least you can kind of have Burgeons. I'm not sure. I think Burgeon, maybe it does go in the same as Aggravate, because, well, as a reaction, Burgeon is all right because it does do AoE. It's just that our units don't really allow for very good Burgeon teams. So Aggravate, we have teams that have good that max out Aggravate. Like Fischl is pretty much everything you could want out of an Aggravate character. And like, what could you want from another Electro carry? Like a carry that does even more hits than Chlorand and has no ICD on them. That's almost what you'd want from like a new Aggravate carry. It's a very tall ask. It's very unlikely to happen. Whereas for Burgeon, I feel like you could realistically get a unit that actually does do Burgeon better. Like a Pyro Applier that can be built on EM that also heal, like a Kuki for Burgeon. That would like make Burgeon better. Like obviously Hyperbloom teams are better than Burgeon teams, but I feel like as a reaction, they're not that far off. Do we even have, oh yeah, there's Hyperbloom. But maybe the fact that we don't have the teams right now makes the reaction worse. It kind of depends how you want to look at it, right? Does the fact that we can't make perfect Burgeon teams, like synergistic Burgeon teams, make the reaction worse? Or does it mean that the reaction is fine, but the teams are worse? So I don't know. I'm not sure. Also, I feel like I'm going to change this to this. I feel like people get less butthurt about this kind of thing. And also it prevents the dreaded double S and the temptation for that. Because you can't have tier -1. So I feel like I like this. Okay, burning. And this is where it's really tough. I think this is obviously not going to be a very useful tier list because burning, right? We have Emily. We have Keqing. Those are pretty meta characters. Does that mean burning is good? I don't know. It's kind of good. Like Keqing and Emily are tier 1, but the reaction kind of not good. So it's like as a reaction, it's here. As a burning team, it's like here. So what do? Do we split the difference? Like you could say that burning is a good reaction because it enables Keqing and Emily. That sounds kind of silly. Oh my God. I'm already regretting doing this video. I think we have to go by how the teams do. You need burning to make that team. That team is good. Therefore, burning is good. Given the fact that you have access to Keqing and Emily. If you don't have Keqing and Emily, obviously it's here. And bloom, because it's Nilou does make bountiful blooms. They're not regular blooms. So for that reason, bloom is still here. Oh my God. Let's I want to at least be consistent. Whichever one I pick, I want to at least be consistent. What does it say about Nilou? Yeah, they're bountiful cores. They're not just dendro cores. They're bountiful cores. Triggering of the bloom reaction will create bountiful cores instead of dendro cores. Well, it is still the bloom reaction. They're just different cores. I think it's still bloom. I'm going to call it still bloom, and I'm going to call it tier 2 as well. Taking off the sweater, it's getting serious. So burning tier 1, bloom tier 2, burgeon tier 2. I think that's about right. Aggravate tier 2. I feel like this is about right. Crystallize. So crystallize, that's kind of interesting. Okay, you know what? I'm going to say that burning gets a bumped down one because you have to specifically have Keqing and Emily. Well, no, I can't do that because then you have to bump bloom down and then it's like, what are you even doing? Oh my God, this is such a mistake. Okay, hopefully it's at least interesting. Crystallize. Crystallize is very interesting because we have Xilonen making crystallize and that's what activates her whole kit. So what is crystallize tier 0? We've also got Crystallize with Archaic Petra, which is like a tier 3 kind of thing. And we've got Crystallize with Navia creating Crystallized shards. And we've also got Crystallize creating some interruption resistance. So super hot take, but Crystallize is kind of looking pretty good. I'm not going to put it in tier 0 because outside of Xilonen, like even though Xilonen is obviously a tier 0 character, it's not just the Crystallize that makes that so. It's definitely part of what pulls it up, but between Navia, between Xilonen, between Archaic Petra, and between the interruption resistance, I'm seeing Crystallize being actually in a pretty good spot right now. Actually, and also you've got Kachina. It's like the Natlan artifact set is like what's making Crystallize kind of viable. Again, it only works with specific characters, but this is the place we're in with Genshin. All of the elements only work, their best things only work with specific characters. If we're just looking at baseline reactions, it would be completely different. And it would be really like not useful because burning is just like if you're looking at baseline reaction. Electrocharge, we have Auroron now. It's still Electrocharge as a reaction is still kind of mid. Some good Hydro and Electro teams end up happening, but it's not a result of the reaction, unlike, for example, burning, whereas if burning doesn't happen, then Keqing and Emily just don't do damage. And same with Crystallize. If Crystallize doesn't happen, Navia and Xilonen just don't work. Whereas Electrocharge, a lot of it is the raw damage of the characters and not even the fact that Electrocharge is going on. But is Electrocharge better than Aggravate? Yeah, it is. I think Electrocharge is 1.5 right now. It's better. Is that crazy to say that Electrocharge is better than Aggravate right now? We're talking specifically about things like Chlorand with Auroron, Raiden double Hydro, Neuvillette with Electro. I think Electrocharge being 1.5 is all right. Okay, Frozen. Frozen is like a tier 4. I know it's sad to say because it was so good before, but so many places have a boss, so many enemies have resistance to Frozen. Maybe it's tier 3 because there is some utility. It's not completely useless. There might be some elements, there might be some reactions that are completely useless. And I think that this is making me feel better, right? Because if we were to have burning down in tier 3 and Frozen also down in tier 3, at least burning, you can make good teams with it if you have the right characters, whereas Frozen, the reaction just literally just takes away from things. So really bad. Hyper Bloom. I think Hyper Bloom is 1.5. I've basically said it before. The Hyper Bloom as a core is 1.5. So the teams of Hyper Bloom are actually not as strong as the best Electro Charge teams, namely Chlorand. But Hyper Bloom like carries the entire damage. So like Hyper Bloom is everything for Hyper Bloom teams. Not the entire damage, but you know what I mean. Arguably though, you do get Electro Charge on Hyper Bloom teams, and that's part of the damage too. So you know. But anyways, we're going there. Okay, next we have Melt. Melt is tier 0. I mean, and this is where I think we have to agree that like using the characters matter, because obviously Citlali makes Melt crazy, Moeka makes Melt even crazier. I think it's Moeka plus Citlali is really what Melt is right now, but also Arlecchino plus Citlali. There's certain other teams with like, Gaming, Melt, but mostly it's, you know, Citlali plus either Arlecchino or Moeka. You just do so much damage. Like when you melt for 1.5 million, or in Arlecchino's case, you know, 300,000. The boss health bar just gets chunked down really fast, and that's what, you know, that's what it's all about. Overloaded, we obviously have to consider C6 Chevreuse. Is Overloaded tier 1 or tier 0? There were some people saying that Chevreuse, on my tier list, the Chevreuse could be a tier 0 character. And if you go by Chevreuse being a tier 0, then Overloaded should be in tier 0 as well. I'm on the fence. It's almost, I kind of feel like, you know, I kind of agree. I think that Chevreuse is a tier 0 character, but the reaction isn't like, I don't know, it feels like this is just like a tier 0.5 sort of situation. You know, it's my tier list. I can do what I want. I can do whatever I want. And since this isn't that serious, you all have to be okay with it. So this is what I think. And obviously this is C6 Chevreuse carrying this. If you have C0 Chevreuse, it's like more here or here. And if you don't use a good overload carry like Chlorand or Arlecchino, then it also goes down to here. Quicken's like the same as Aggravate. I mean, you need the Quicken aura for Spread and Aggravate, so it's like, I don't know, it's all sort of the same thing. I think Spread, I mean, Alhaitham's a bit better than Aggravate. So Alhaitham, I think, is a tier 1.5, like especially his Spread stuff, tier 1.5 situation. I will say this does make these ones look worse by having more tiers. Yeah, I'm putting Overloaded up here. Oh my god, this is so hard, and this is so scuffed. Everyone's gonna hate this. I was hoping to make a chill, fun video, but maybe we do this. Maybe like this. I think the Burning teams are a bit better than the other teams, but the other reactions have more going for them than Burning does. Burning is just like, there's just characters behind a burning lock. So it's just like, you need to burn. It doesn't have anything to do with the reaction. Whereas at least the other reactions have something to do with the actual reaction itself. I mean, Overloaded is like that too. God, this is so hard. There's no consistent rule. This is such a bad video. Okay. Whew. Shatter. Shatter is truly awful. Absolutely the worst reaction. Not only do you need Frozen, which is the other worst reaction, we need to hit it with a heavy attack, and it does EM scaling damage. Insanely bad reaction. It's like tier 100. It's so awful. Super Conduct, like these reactions are so bad, we need another. Jeez. Okay, Swirl, pretty good, I would say. It's not as good as it used to be, with VV being worse than Shalon and stuff. I think Melt I just want Melt to be kind of a tier in its own, just because it does so much damage all at once, and I feel like it really is by far and away the best thing you can do in the game right now. And then I feel like Shalon and stuff, Overloaded stuff are really, really good. But Crystallized, yeah, and both of them kind of go here. Yeah, I'm kind of liking this. I'm kind of liking how this is turning out. And then Vaporize, it goes here as well, because Vaporize is still very strong. Okay, you know, I hated this, and I'm kind of liking it more. I don't know. What do you guys think? I hated it, and now I kind of like it. I think it's okay. It's still really scuffed, but I think that this is what it does. So what does this mean? So we made this so that we could use it to help us make an elemental tier list, right? To find the best elements in Genshin. With the elements, you kind of have to look at raw damage as well, but this at least will help us. You've got Hydro all the way up and down, but a lot of the best characters are Hydro. I mean, it's like we've got Melt, we've got Cryo at the top for Melt, but also at the bottom for all the other reactions, basically. It's like only Citlali. It's like, how much do you value Citlali over the rest of the cryo element? I mean, you've also have not quite, because you've also got characters like Diona, Rosaria, Kaya, who can enable melt for strong carries. So you've got an overall, I would say Cryo overall, we kind of average it out to being like a B. It's like really bad for a carry. It's like D for carry, but like B for also melt enabler. Then we've got Pyro, which is insane. Pyro has to be S. Pyro is S tier for sure. I think maybe we go back to tier 0 again. And I don't know, maybe something like this. Animo, I feel like Animo is all right. Animo is like all right, because you have Kazuha, obviously, who's very good. And you have VV, which is still very good, even though it's much worse than it used to be. But the thing about Animo is that all Animo characters can use VV, whereas like with Geo, only, you know, Shilonen has the really good stuff. So how much do you rank it overall? But and Animo does have Chaska as well. And you've got Faruzan, and you have VV for everyone. I'd say overall Animo is still pretty good. I don't know. This is so hard. This is such an awful idea. Electro. I mean, it's obviously not tier 0. You might have to go straight with vibes, like use no reasoning. It's just straight vibes. This video is torturing me so much. Okay, straight vibe. It's almost like we have to rank. Okay, maybe it's just best. Maybe it's like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe it's like this. Maybe this is what we have to do. So we have to rank them, and it's not in a tier. Maybe that's it. And once again, we're running into the same problem. How do you rank an element versus ranking characters within the element? Pyro, certainly. Okay, it's got to be like we're gonna figure this out. I'm not gonna give up on this video. I'm gonna make this a real video. I'm not going to give up. Okay. So element, Pyro, Hydro, Cryo, Geo, Electro, Animo, Indra. Characters, character peak, character average, reaction peak, reaction average, something like this. So at its peak, Pyro has the best characters. As an average, I'd still say it's like pretty high. Reaction peak is like really high, and then the reaction average is still like pretty high. Hydro, character peak, the highest, character average. I feel like it's almost not fair for Hydros because they have like no 4 stars. So the average is still pretty high. Reaction peak is like close. Reaction average is a bit lower because but it's got a lot of reactions, so I would say it's still pretty high. Yeah, I feel like Hydro number 2 makes the most sense. That makes the most sense. This is helping. Cryo, character peak at the top, character average. I feel like a lot of them can be melt enablers these days. It's still not bad. They have some pretty low reactions. So overall, yeah, Cryo's definitely worse than them. So we'll see. You know, we'll see if anything else is better. Geo, character peak, the average Geo. I feel like average Geo character is actually not that bad, because like all the recent Geo doesn't have that many units. Like albeit like the recent Geo characters are Chiori, Kachina, Navia, Shilonen. Like Geo has been good recently. Wait, is Geo actually good? Because like sure, the old ones like Ningguang, like Ito, the you know, Zhongli, people still love Zhongli, even though he's fallen off a bunch, but the people love Zhongli. All the Geos got a buff from Shilonen. I feel like Geo is not that bad lately. Don't worry about these numbers. This is just to help me think of something. Reaction peak. I feel like this is just for me to think about it. Don't look at me. I feel like Geo is overall, is it better than Cryo overall? I think so, because we just have Lali basically but we do have Melt. These criteria suck. This whole video is just completely worthless. But it's an elemental tier list. I thought for sure this would be a good video idea. Is Dendro the worst element now? Aware? Is Animo the worst element now? How can I say that? How can I say that? I'm feeling good about this. I'm feeling good about this. Like pretty good. It's not perfect, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. Okay, let's forget the analytical approach. And let's go purely based on vibes. You hear a new character is coming out. The character is Pyro. Well, we're all sad because we have too many Pyros. But in terms of strength, I don't know. I feel like that this video has done nothing for me except for truly cement in my mind that elements mean nothing, and it's all about the characters that Genshin makes with them. Like, it really doesn't matter what element a character is. If Hoyoverse wants the character to be strong, they will make them really strong. And if they want them to be weak, they will make them weak. If they want a Geo character to be S tier, they'll make Shilonen. If they want, you know, an Animo character to be F tier, they'll make Mizuki. Like, the element really doesn't have anything to do with how strong a character is anymore. It's all about the kit. And it's also like this whole overall judgment of, do you judge things based on the peak or based on the average? Maybe it's like this. Maybe because Pyro is the best. Because even if, let's look at my tier list. If you're with me this long, you've watched the video long enough, you can take a look at my tier list. You know, look, we've got Pyro, Hydro, Geo, Pyro, Cryo, Hydro. So Pyro's the best. We've got Bennett and Moika, and even looking at the next tier down, we've got Arlecchino, right? So Pyro best, Hydro second. We have no Cryo characters in tier 1 and no cryo character, well, one cryo character in tier 2. So but we do have an S tier cryo character, so maybe something like this. Honestly, I think the reason why it's this hard is because this is the truth. Pyro is the best, Hydro is the second best, and all the other ones are sort of just there depending on what Hoyo versus Fate decides to do, because cryo has the worst characters, but then you get Citlali, and all of a sudden you get Melt, and all of a sudden like Diona is goated, and that's where we are right now. And you got Animo, like you got Kazuha and Lan Yun, you know, but VV kind of just isn't as good as it used to be. I think this is it. And then Geo should be worse, but you've got Shalonen, Navia, Jevris for Chloran for Electro, and you've got still Hyper Bloom, Burning for Dendro. Yeah, this is it. Let me know your thoughts. Am I totally out to lunch, or did I kind of cook with my 2 elemental tier list? Enter the giveaway down below. Please subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And if you don't want to do any of that, it's totally fine. Just watching the video has been more than enough. Thanks so much. Bye for now.